I'm Sareth Ney. We're all stand-up comedians. I had my only internship or apprenticeship with Clive Barker because I wanted to scare people. And and Hellraiser 2 was like my very first experience with like Skinless Julia, and Candyman scared me for 6 years. And so I thought, hey, I need to scare people just like Clive scared me. And so that's my story, and I'm going to pass it along to Lesley Jo, and she'll pass the mic to you.
Hey, I'm Lesley Jo. I am a stand-up comic, and I am not your necessarily normal fangirl, I suppose, but I've always dated guys that really like horror movies, and I found that to be the most interesting thing of the relationships, really. But I love watching things that make me feel like scared or spooked, and also I love taking puns to a really ridiculous level, and I think that's what I like about comedy and horror. So so I'm happy to be here, and we have Luke here.
Yeah, my name is Luke Tyler Dupuis. I am a stand-up comedian like everybody else, and I'm a student of, I'm a film student, and I remember growing up just watching like a ton of Evil Dead and like a bunch of genre mixing, which like I really liked, like Shaun of the Dead and other stuff, and I'm a big fan of like mixing two genres together, and I think that comedy and horror goes really well together, in my opinion. Larry, you want to?
Yeah, I'm Larry Griffin. I'm a comedian, a published journalist, published author, and I've also just loved horror movies for years and years, and am delusional enough to think that people want to hear what I have to say about it. So that's why we're all here. And I've loved horror movies for years. I love comedy. I think about it all the time, so that's why we're all kind of here. So, before we can get started. And who wants to hear?
Hey, you want to
Start for rep? Yeah.
So my very first experience, I guess, is like the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Those are my favorite mashup. And growing up watching like Scooby-Doo cartoons and the Addams Family and the Munsters, and I figured, that's a great combination there. And I noticed that they mix movies together, and some of like Clive's movies, like Nightbreed, for example, has like some comedic elements. After my apprenticeship with him, he gave me a little shout out at the end credits right underneath Quentin Tarantino's movie theater, New Beverly Cinema. So I was like, that's pretty sweet of him, And so Nightbreed became my second favorite horror movie because of that. My other favorites, I guess, like Vampire in Brooklyn because of like Eddie Murphy, and Wes Craven. I mean, it's not like one of the best horror movies, like / comedy films, but it worked out for me. So, what's some of your favorite horror / comedies?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Little Shop of Horrors, I think, is probably one of my favorites. I think that's really great. I liked Rob Zombie's movies a lot. I don't know if that's a cool thing to like, but I always enjoyed that. Trauma movies, I'm really into trauma movies. I got to meet Lloyd Kaufman here a few years ago. That was cool. Let's see. So I like to find things that pair elements that I think are funny. So let's see. I watched that movie Mother recently. That reminded me of all of my bad Zoloft dreams. But also, like, I don't know has anybody seen that here? Yeah, okay. So in that movie, like, as a comedian and a narcissist, like, whenever he has these people, like, adoring him and, like, wanting to spend time in his house, I was just like, wow, I really resonate with that, because I don't know if I want them to leave either. That was a connection that I got in that movie. I'm just always looking for stuff that's, like, pulling me into what I enjoy, and I think there's the spectrum between laughter and scare, like a good scare, that is on the same adrenaline wavelength for me. So I really enjoy anything that gets me like, or like belly laughing.
That's interesting that you talk about Mother. Did you guys, Mother, have you guys seen Mother? Yeah. A couple of you? It's an interesting movie, and it's very like artsy, like it's very art house, and it's directed by Darren Aronofsky, thank you very much. Who's kind of like an art house director, But and you would think like with a name like Darren Aronofsky, you know, he's like this like cool, you know, from the Netherlands or something, you know. But he's actually from Brooklyn. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm Darren Aronofsky. I like pizza and metaphors. Like, I don't know. Like it's just this is funny where it's like you're kind of masquerading as this like really indie art house director, but you're like driving a cab. I don't know. Yeah, again, like I think a little bit more obvious horror comedy that like really blends the genre together is like Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, there you go. He's dressed up like Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. That's great.
This is the first time. I was waiting for you to say it again.
There you go. He's like, once he says it again, I'm going to stand up and show that I really love Edgar Wright. No, but I think Edgar Wright's probably one of the best filmmakers of our time right now. I think just the way that he moves the camera and the way that like everything's like motivated is really interesting. Have you guys seen Baby Driver? Yeah, Baby Driver, cool. And he's actually he's heavily influenced from another movie that I had on my list, American Werewolf in London, which is it's a John Landis. Thank you very much. John Landis film that is also has a lot of comedic moments, but it's also like really terrifying at moments, especially when there's a bunch of zombie pig Nazis in his dream that just like shoot up the place, and you're just like, what the hell am I watching? And you're like, oh, it's a dream. I don't know. But yeah, that's some of my favorites. You wanna?
I didn't know if you were done, but I'm taking the microphone anyway. I guess what I was thinking about for this was how are horror and comedy related? But, you know, the thin line between horror and comedy, and because both horror and comedy, they use these simple emotions to make the story work. Like, you know, horror's trying to scare you, comedy's trying to make you laugh. Like, you know, they don't rely on complex plots and all that very often. It's always just very simple. They want to hit you hard and really get you in immediately. You know, that's what they try to do. It's a tool to get people invested. Get Out. Has anybody seen Get Out? Yeah, right? Awesome movie. They use a lot of funny lines, a lot of very quirky kind of characters and dialogues at the beginning, all to ease you into thinking about race relations and other fun things like that. Thinking about the prevalence of racism in society. And that's one tool that uses that. That's a great movie. Shaun of the Dead and Werewolf, like American Werewolf, like that were already mentioned, also very good. You can relate to the characters much easier, you know, through comedy, through, you know, good jokes, good dialogue. You know, it's all just it's all based on your emotions. That's what it is. It's based on what it makes you feel. You know, just hit you where you live immediately. And anybody else got any good things that haven't been mentioned yet? Any good movies? Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but in Evil Dead, they had different actors. I thought that was funny because they had like a bunch of fill-ins. And at the end, they referenced Shimps, which is a Three Stooges reference. I thought that was kind of cool. I also had a thought about, what was that? I'll get back to it.
One of my most recent favorite horror movies with like comedic elements was It. And they had those really funny jokes in there, and like some of it was like a little bit too over the edge, like for the kids to say, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it myself.
Yeah, that kid from It and Stranger Things,
He's a fantastic actor. He's hilarious. Yeah, that kid's going places. I don't know. He's already in like 2 major things.
I actually was thinking about mentioning It myself, the new one, because it really is, they have these goofy moments, like the clown Pennywise just dancing, you know, it's very goofy. You got like the kids, just they have these funny dialogues between each other, you know, it really is, it works to draw you in, and then it just scares the crap out of you, you know, just very, you know, just really, just jumps out at you, you know, it's very good. I'm not probably explaining this in the most articulate way, but, you know, that's what it all is. It's not about scholarly logic, it's about, you know, emotions. That's what it is. That's what horror and comedy is. And, Cabin in the Woods, right? Anybody like Cabin in the Woods, right? Yeah, awesome. You know, it's, everything about that movie is satirical. It really just, it's making fun of horror movies. It's making fun of all that. I mean, that's another good one. Lambasting every single trope that they can. And, there are so many different, there are so many different options to talk about because so many different horror movies have these funny, goofy elements in them,
Another one very similar to Cabin in the Woods is Tuck and Dale versus Evil. Have you guys seen that one? Yeah, that's so funny. That's such a, like the way that it basically like turns something that's so cliche on its head and just like kind of flips it. It's just like so clever, and I was just like, I don't know. It just seems so much more clever than like something that you can like, I don't know.
Drag me to hell.
Yeah.
I like how we only have one mic between the four of us.
Like the late great Wes Craven, with like his Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, those were like some of them had some funny deaths in them, and I enjoyed those. And like Jason X with like the sleeping bag scene, amazing. Like, and the new Cult of Chucky, like I know they went back to horror, but like the middle parts, like Bride of Chucky and stuff like that. Like I love hip hop, and so like when Redman was in there, I was like, heck yeah, dude, that's so awesome. And the Crypt Keeper was just here. In the past, when I couldn't get past like the opening credits because it freaked me out, but I stuck around to see what the middle part was, and I left right away. But I watched that when I was a kid, so like you knew like a child's mind frame kind of like scared you with that guy that laughs like that and looks like that. So it's pretty neat. Anyone else?
I think
that there's an interesting line between like a horror comedy and then a horror movie that's not good and that you have to laugh at.
Yeah.
Like that's like especially like the trauma movies. Some of them are just like, what the hell is this? And then you're just like, oh, okay, this is hilarious. And another one that I had written down is like Reanimator. Have you guys seen Reanimator? Reanimator is so ridiculous and so over the top and so hilarious. But like some of the best moments in that movie is just the main guys because he plays it so straight, and then he just like it's just funny how like how ridiculous that movie is and how like crazy that movie gets to be, and then you just have to laugh at like some of the dumb prosthetics that they use.
Well, I think like at the end of the day, all the movies we're talking about. It's just the factor is that even serious horror movies sometimes can have these goofy kind of elements. Like, anything from Dracula, werewolves, all that stuff. It's very over the top. It's very, very fantastical. It sucks you into another world, makes you forget about your own problems for a while. And I imagine that's why we all like horror, because, it's dark material, but it also just kind of whisks you away to another world, like a fantasy. And that's why it is, and that it really does very well for comedy and horror. You want to laugh at it, you want to have fun, you want to be sucked into that other world, And there is, because real horror, like I'm a journalist for my day job, real horror is like, very serious stuff. It's losing children or losing parents, very sad things. You don't want to think about that. Movies are not often about those things in horror movies. And, that's why we like to just escape to a horror movie to get away from life. And both horror and comedy can help you do that. They can help you forget about life, help you just enjoy yourself. And it's a good tool. That's why we enjoy media. That's why we like entertainment. And I think that's, I don't know, somebody else take the mic before I make it awkward.
Yeah. Do you want to start doing questions? Or?
Yeah.
Got like 7 more minutes. We can do like some more books, for example. Like I love like to read as well, and like Crypt, like the Tales from the Crypt comic books. Very easy to read and stuff like that. And one of my favorite books that has like some comedy stuff in it is like Mr. Regan by Clive Barker, and that's what led me to Clive. Was just that book, but yeah, it's a book that is possessed by a demon, and so he messes with you through the whole thing. I highly recommend it. It scares the bejesus out of you. And let's see, a couple of like some other horror slash comedy stuff. Like I think Ted Raimi was in 2 of Clive's movies, like Candyman. He was like the boyfriend, and he was in the Midnight Meat Train too. and his eyeball pops out, I think. And I love that stuff. And I know that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, rest in peace, Toby Hooper. The second one with like a Dennis Hopper that has some comedic elements too, and I love that stuff as well. I guess yeah, start opening to some Q&A from the fans and the audience. More than welcome to shout them out if you want.
Yeah.
You mentioned race relations and stuff like Candyman and Get Out. What about People Under the Stairs? Do you guys enjoy that?
Oh, absolutely. That's like one of my favorite Wes Craven flicks. And I remember like the guy with like no tongue. I think it's Roach. I think his name was. Amazing. Like I love that movie. And when the dogs like started attacking people, that kind of scared me. And that kept me away from Rottweilers for a long time. And then I got used to them. So, Candyman and Get Out and People Under the Stairs.
I didn't see that movie. I don't remember it if I did, so I shouldn't have an answer on that one. But I thought the race relations were very obvious in Get Out. Like, there were more things that I am like, I need you to watch this so we can talk about this movie. So I'm like, there's so many things about it that I was just like, wow, that was kind of messed up. But I think that it's kind of weird to bring that to the light in a movie. And then I did laugh out loud in that movie towards the end.
Do you have anything to add?
You can also ask us questions about like stand-up and everything. If you guys have any questions about that, yeah.
How do you feel about your horror parodies, like I'm trying to think of good ones, like Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, I think Mel Brooks definitely does parodies best. I think like everything that he did, like all the movies that I grew up with, watching his movies are great. I think some of the like Scary Movie I'm not a huge fan of. Do you guys like Scary Movie? Do you like the Wayans brothers? No, I'm not.
After 20 minutes.
I love In Living Color. That's, you know, like, In Living Color was fantastic. I remember, like, Wanda and when she met the Dracula. Do you guys remember that episode? Oh, man, that was hilarious. And I think, what else there's, going back to the Candyman thing, it's like the race relations. That movie scared the bejesus out of me. And I felt like he died for all the wrong reasons because of loving someone that's out of his color, you know, and I just that movie's when I scared the crap out of me too, and that's why like I never used the restroom when I was 9 years old. I didn't use the restroom without the lights on, and I left the door open. I'm like, please, Candyman, don't get me. Yeah.
In response to the question about Mel Brooks and the parodies and all that, I think the reason why those movies work is because there's a joke every minute. It just keeps going, just keeps hitting you with joke after joke, and that's where they, it never lets up at all. And a lot of comedy, a lot of the horror comedy, it's a weird thing for me personally because some of them are so funny that it's hard to really get sucked into the horror part of it. Like that's why I just enjoy them as movies, like American Werewolf in London. Like it's a great movie, I enjoyed that, but. Shaun of the Dead, also very, not really focused on the horror so much, it's just the comedy that's going on. But, they're still enjoyable movies, it's fun. I mean, it's kind of hard to find a balance. Is there anything you'd say has a really great balance of horror and comedy? Anybody?
Like the Abbott and Costello and Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That's like one of my favorites. Like all those Abbott and Costello movies. Young Frankenstein, like when he goes dancing, phenomenal. I love that part.
I think Gremlins does it really well as well.
I think Gremlins has the mixture of horror and comedy does pretty well at that. At least the first one does, and then the second one is just like, we're just gonna be a comedy. We're gonna have all these gremlins. They're gonna be all different things. Yeah. What was your question? The Scream movies? I love Wes Craven's Scream. I think that movie's fantastic, and also it has a lot of really good, funny moments, especially when Wes Craven, it cuts to Wes Craven as Freddy, for 2 seconds. You guys talking about Scream movies?
No, I mean, like, Scream, from what I remember of Scream, it's just, like, the great thing about movies like that is just the horror had gotten to the point where you just had to make fun of it. They had to address just the ridiculous things about it, and that's why they make Scream, as well as Cabin in the Woods, all these other kind of parody movies are, they're very much a reflection of like, all right, what's ridiculous about these horror movies? And like, how can we make fun of that? And we have to address this because people are getting tired of the really serious ones. That people are not going to stand for bad Friday the 13th ripoffs anymore. They want something funny. They want you to address the elephant in the room of how silly it is. And that's why, they work on that level. They work for like, hey, like, look at how goofy this all is. And that's the function, I feel like.
Yeah, what's up?
How do you feel about like TV remakes of horror movies? Like there's a new Scream TV remake.
Oh,
And like there's a new Exorcist TV remake.
I watched that.
I heard The
MTV
Exorcist is not
Was it the MTV Scream one?
Yeah.
I got about an episode and a half into it, and I couldn't do it.
That bad.
It was definitely millennial, and it was just too much. It was too much for me. I like the original silly as opposed to the MTV remake, but I don't know.
I have yet to watch an episode of that Scream TV show. I don't have cable, and I just try to stay away from that stuff. So I just got into Netflix, believe it or not. So I'm kind of like outdated with that stuff. But the TV shows they're okay. I think like Teen Wolf. I know that they crossed over, and it's a great Michael J. Fox movie back in the day. And but yeah, let's see more questions if you guys.
What are your thoughts on Tim Burton's movies? Because it seems to me that, like, for a while, he was doing that combination pretty well, and now it's kind of...
Right.
And I love like his stop animation movies, like stop motion movies, and because like they take a lot of time to make. And Edward Scissorhands is another favorite of mine. And but I love the old school Tim Burton, but I love like Frankenweenie too and all that good stuff. That's some good stuff. So
Yeah, I think like some filmmakers, especially like when you get too caught up with like the corporateness of everything, because like when you're so young and like you just want to, so ambitious, and want to do Beetlejuice, want to do Batman, want to do like all these other awesome movies, and then like once you get older, you're just like, oh, just Alice in Wonderland, I don't care. Like, it's kind of like one of those things where you just get caught up. I feel like you get caught up in like this machine of what the industry is, and sometimes it just feels like it's not even a director's movie at some point. You know what I mean? Like all the Marvel movies. I love Marvel movies. I think they're great. Having said that, like a lot of them are very similar to the point where I'm just like what is the director really doing? Like I feel like that this machine of like we're just making this movie is going too quickly and too formulaic to the point where like you get somebody like older, such as Tim Burton, who doesn't really have that same amount of like oomph and creativity that he did when he directed like something like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tim Burton, he strikes me as one of these directors who has found a style and is now just sticking to it, whether anybody wants it or not. I think a lot of people still want it. I mean, I think people still enjoy his movies, so I think he's making money off it. How can we criticize him for that? I mean, he's found a style that works for him. It's like, it's gotten to the point where you can parody him. It's like, all right, well, he's going to have black, he's going to have Johnny Depp, he's going to have, all the same actors. They're all wearing black makeup, like all that kind of stuff. People can parody him, but he still goes home at the end of the day with the paycheck. And so, like, if you can find that, if you're an artist, I don't know, is anybody here like an artist, like a budding writer or a filmmaker of any kind? Right? No, maybe a couple people. Right, yeah. And if you can find the style that works for you, I imagine you probably want to stick with it, Like, obviously, you want to keep the quality up, but, at the end of the day, like, you find a style that works, it's your own thing, people recognize you for that. And that's what it should be. That's what you should be striving for, to find your own niche.
All right. Yeah, what's up?
Does that also include something like running gags and certain art styles? Like how an art style is done?
What do you mean? Like
slapstick kind of, like Three Stooges.
Oh, like a unique thing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think different art styles and different like you have to find what works for you. Having said that, I think that some people do find that thing, but then they're afraid to go out of their boundaries and do something different, do something interesting. You know what I mean? Like even, and like, you know, and they're afraid to fail at a certain point. Anybody else that you have? Yeah, sure.
I think that that relates in all different kinds of art. So comedy, I think we're all different comics. We all have our own different style and our own different thing that we do. We all have our own side projects that we do. So, you know, also with what you said about it being not even the director's movie, that's where it gets really scary to get out of your own to be creative to your own real true end is challenging. It's difficult and it's scary. But I think that's what it's all about.
What's some of like my favorite running gags like is in Scooby Doo? You know, like they reveal themselves like, hey, we knew that you were the bad guy. You know, and like very you put on this like front that you got anyone that has a mask on in that show is like the bad guy. But yeah, more running gags. I think. Scary movie stuff, like the movie Scary Movie, like in all the sequels, they have like those running gags as well. It's like, don't run up the stairs, what are you doing? You know, and all that good stuff. Don't go to the basement. Any more questions?
I find that some of the best experiences with horror movies is in crowded theaters where even if the movie's not intending to be funny, you have a jump scare with a great sound system.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody relaxed, and sometimes you'll hear laughter trickle throughout the audience after the jump scare. It's like, even though it wasn't meant to be a comedic moment, there's that collective fear and that reaction.
And it makes it,
like,
makes it better, yeah.
That's like, oh, you got me, and the whole audience, you can hear them react with laughter.
Oh yeah, I squeak really loud whenever I get scared.
Yeah, start doing
And like one of my other favorites, like too, like a crowded room, like the theater with horror, like related is like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and how everyone throws popcorn and stuff. I love that stuff.
I've been going to Halloween Horror Nights a lot and going through the houses. I got the frequent pass. I can go all the time, and there's something about just how I giggle after I get a really good scare, and I'm like, I love that stuff. It's like, you got me. I don't know, it's like that vulnerability whenever you're just like, you know it's coming, but I just love it when they get me. It's that same kind of excitement that, of course, I laugh afterwards.
I think you said kind of what I was trying to say earlier, but in a more concise fashion. So, good job. I was, basically, as we're all comedians, that's what we're striving to do, is to create a reaction in the audience to make you laugh. And a horror movie is trying to do that by, you know, having things jump out at you, by having the reveal of a monster, whatever it might be. That's what a horror movie's trying to do to you. All this stuff is trying to create some kind of a reaction. They're trying to evoke emotions. And they do that by certain different means. And I think, you know, like Lesley and Sareth were saying, that you laugh in a horror movie, you laugh after a haunted house, because it's that adrenaline rush, you know. You just get that rush, and it's like, oh, it's like you were kind of freaked out for a second, but then you're laughing because it was like, it's not real. You know it wasn't real, and you're having fun. You know, that's really why I think that's why we're all here, really, to evoke that, to celebrate that, in a way, that kind of feeling.
Thank you so much for coming out to the panel, The Thin Line Between Horror and Comedy. And if you'd like to get to know us more, visit our website, friend us on Facebook. My website is aqdpi.com. It's on the Spooky Empire thing too, so. And we'll connect that way. And I'd love to see you at the Corazon Comedy Festival, if you guys are there in St. Augustine. Free parking because it's on a Sunday. And it's $10 to get in. It's really cheap.
Can I plug my show really quick?
Absolutely. And Luke Dupuis, his show coming up.
Yeah, I have a comedy show at the Geek Easy, which is a really cool venue. It's coming up November 2nd, so it's the first Thursday of the month. It's $5, but if you guys want free tickets, just give me your email. I'm not like gonna spam it. I'm just gonna send you free tickets. Just give me your email and just how many tickets you want. You can do whatever. If you want to bring 5 people, I'll give you 5 tickets or 8. What's up?
Where is it at?
The Geek Easy. It's in Winter Park. It is right next. Yeah, it's right next to Full Sail. It's on Cimarron.
It's on 436 up near. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, okay. He knows.
436 is Cimarron.
Yeah, 436, same thing as Cimarron, I guess. But yeah, if you guys want free tickets, I'll send it to you. It's gonna be a really good show. We have a really good headliner. Mark Viola is headlining, who's really funny. You know that guy. There you go. You want to see him live?
Dungeons and Dragons with me.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. Well, maybe you don't want to see him then. You're like, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons with him. Fuck that guy. Like,
No, he's a good dude.
he was a dumb DM. I don't know.
No, he's a good dude. He's really funny.
Yeah. See, that guy knows. So yeah, he's gonna be there. Casey Crawford's opened up for Brian Hussein. He's gonna be there, and a bunch of other people. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a showcase coming up. I run a showcase at Broken Cauldron Brewing, which is right next to the soccer stadium. Sareth is going to be on my next show. That's November 9th. It's the second Thursday. Casey Crawford's also going to close out that show from Daytona. So Broken Cauldron, second Thursday of every month. It's free, so if you want free tickets, just go. And
Yeah, there you go.
there'll be a food truck and specialty beer and stuff. You want to promo something?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, Larry Griffin, Griffin. And I also have a blog called Cinema Freaks, where I just, me and my friends make fun of movies. And you can find that, you search for Cinema Freaks, and it should come up. And I do not currently have any show of my own that's coming up anytime soon, but hit me up on Facebook. I don't know, you probably won't, but thanks for coming out. Thank you very much.